All colors, center, march. Detail, forward, march.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for honors to our national colors and remain standing for the question of the bronze flag. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Bronze Star Medal posthumously to Lance Corporal Barfield, United States Marine Corps, for service as set forth in the following. For heroic service in connection with combat operations against the enemy while serving as a combat engineer, Company I, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, Regimental Combat Team 8, 2nd Marine Division 4, from 7 July 2011 to 24 October 2011, in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. Lance Corporal Barfield's impact on the company was immediate, as he created and refined tactics to counter improvised explosive devices during exercise Mojave Viper. While deployed, he courageously led more than 25 combat patrols through explosive-laden terrain as his squad sweeper identified key improvised mines, repelled enemy small arms attacks on his unit, and trained a squad of Afghan Army soldiers. On 24 October 2011, Lance Corporal Barfield noticed an anomaly along the squad's path while on patrol. He immediately halted the squad and directed them to a safe area while he boldly remained in harm's way to confirm the presence of hidden explosives. Two command wire devices detonated before he could remove them unswerving determination, wise judgment, and complete dedication to duty, Lance Corporal Barfield reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. The combat distinguishing device is authorized for the President, signed Robert B. Miller, Lieutenant General, United States Marine Corps Commander, United States Marine Corps Forces, Central Command. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, 3rd Command Executive Officer, Major Salisbury.
General Bailey, distinguished guests, this is Mrs. Barfield, Marines and sailors. Good morning. I'm Major Mike Salisbury, the Battalion Executive Officer, 3rd Combat Engineer Battalion. I'd like to start this morning with a short story. On Wednesday, April 2nd, 2003, Martin Savage of CNN embedded with the Marine Battalion that was part of OIF assault into Kuwait, as you were Iraq. He was talking to 4 young Marines in his fighting hole live on CNN. He'd been telling the story of how well the Marines have been looking out for each other and taking care of him since the war started. He went out and talked about the many hardships the Marines had endured since the war began and how they all look after one another. He turned to the 4 and said he had cleared it with their commanders and they could use the phone to call home if they would like. The 19-year-old Marine next to him said he would like to allow his platoon sergeant to use his call so he could call his pregnant wife back home because he'd not been able to talk to her in 3 months. A stunned Savage was visibly moved by the request. He shook his head, and the young Marine ran off to grab the staff sergeant. Savage recovered after a few seconds and turned back to the 3 Marines still standing with him. He asked one of them who would like to call home first. The Marine closest to him responded without a moment's hesitation. "Sir, if it's all the same to you, we'd like to call the parents of our buddy, Lance Corporal Brian Busing, who was killed 23 March 2003 near Nasiriyah, to see how they're doing." At that, Martin Savage totally broke down and was unable to speak. All he could get out before signing off was, where do they get young Marines like this? Where do we get young men who selfishly put themselves before others daily and live the creed, "I am my brother's keeper"? In one case, the answer is we get them from Ashford, Alabama. Lance Corporal Jason Nicholas Barfield was born March 7, 1989, in Ashford, Alabama. He was raised by loving parents, Ray and Kelly Barfield, who flew here yesterday to be with us for this presentation. Also here with us today is Jason's grandmother, Mary, his brother, Lance Corporal Barfield, his sister Savannah, cousin Megan, and his dearest of friends, his adopted grandfather, Mr. Ronnie Pippin. Thank you all for being here today. Lance Corporal Barfield was a member of 3rd Combat Engineer Battalion in direct support of 3rd Battalion, 7th Marine Regiment. From 7 July 2011 until his death on 24 October 2011, Lance Corporal Barfield served as a sweeper for more than 25 combat patrols. He carefully and thoughtfully selected patrol routes and cleared a path for his brothers in 3-7, enabling them to conduct operations without a single IED strike. Lance Corporal Barfield was a humble and friendly Marine who always had a smile on his face. No bravado, no obnoxiousness. He carried himself with the demeanor of a professional who was intent on selfishly serving others and offering advice and knowledge to brothers who he served with. He would offer guidance, conversation, or just that infectious smile to anyone he met. Where do you get young Marines like Jason, who put themselves before others, who go into harm's way, tenaciously meeting the nation's enemy on the ground, who fight for the cause of freedom and for the brothers on the left and right flank? Where do we get young men like Lance Corporal Barfield? Throughout Marine Corps history, the answer to those questions has been the same. We get them from small towns and big cities across America and beyond. We get them from the East and the West Coast and various points in between. They come in a variety of shades and tones, with differing accents and a wider range of backgrounds. Some are male, some are female, some are tall, some are short. They're forged in places like the tidal swamps of Paris Island, the pristine landscapes of San Diego, and the rolling hills of Quantico. They're all United States Marines who have esteemed themselves on America's battlefields, from Bellawood to Wake Island and Iwo Jima, from the Chosin Reservoir to Quezon and Way City, from Nasiriyah to Fallujah, and from Kandahar to Marja. Today they continue to show themselves admirable and fit for the toughest missions in Helmand Province, Afghanistan. Many have honored Lance Corporal Barfield's memory. On November 2nd, 2011, the governor of the state of California, Governor Brown, ordered the flags half-mast over the state capitol. When Jason returned home for his final journey, hundreds of people lined the route from the Dothan Airport to the funeral home to show support. On May 5th, 2012, Alabama State Senator Harry Ed Smith announced the passage of the Jason Barfield Act, a bill which will exempt all Alabama service members killed in action from payment of state taxes. So how do we appropriately honor the memory of Lance Corporal Barfield and other Marines like this? The standard for their performance is high. It is the Marine Corps standard. We must strive to carry out the mission set before us. A former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom said it well. The legacy of heroes is the memory of a great name and an inheritance of a great example. Lance Corporal Barfield set a great example. It's our responsibility to live up to that example and the high standard that he set. Lance Corporal Barfield had a passion for life, family, and friends. Serving with his fellow Marines, selflessly looking out for his brothers, and remaining steadfast in the mission. That's what he loved doing. And that's how Lance Corporal Barfield lived and died. That's how we should remember him. That's the standard and calling as we go forward. Every day is a good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, India Company, Weapons Platoon Commander, 1st Lieutenant Corey.
Family members, special guests, Marines and sailors. Thank you for being here today to commemorate and celebrate the memory of one of the finest young men I've ever met. Jason made us all realize that life is most certainly a gift, and it requires a very special individual to make the majority of us just to realize how precious it is. Lance Corporal Jason Barfield was one of those special people. It takes a man that yearns to comfort those in difficult situations, to make us laugh, and ultimately enrich our lives with brotherhood and love. I suppose that's how Jason earned the nickname Mama. If one were to ask any of his platoon members to describe him, they would at first search for the right words, as it's impossible to embody in language the compassionate and brave man Jason was. At night, especially during the coldest ones, Jason would rove the posts, delivering dinner and hot coffee to the freezing Marines. Every time you saw his smile poke up in those posts and hear the distinct accent, you were instantly consoled and knew that a hot drink and someone who truly cared about the mission and about the men was there. While the platoon was playing soccer in one of the courtyards, Jason would be preparing a home-cooked meal for those missing home. His concern for his men was profound. I frequently saw him in the corner of some of the patrol bases talking with Marines who were feeling the pull of home on their hearts. They were lonely. I heard Jason tell one Marine, "We may not be blood brothers, but we are sure something stronger. I'm here for you, no matter what." He had this ability to keep the men focused on the mission and safety in the most human way. Jason was also a religious man. He confided a story with most of the men, and I think this Marine is with us today. Marine, a very close friend, was drinking heavily one night, as Marines tend to do, probably too heavily. Well, Jason saw to it that this Marine made it to morning mass the next day. He watched out for all of us, both physically and spiritually. He consistently led the patrols in the most dangerous capacity possible as lead sweeper. Most don't understand this responsibility. Those that do sometimes would shirk it. But Jason cherished this responsibility as he saw it as a way of protecting those he cared about most. Ultimately, Jason gave his life as he lived it for his brothers. Should we all try to live our lives as selflessly and as passionately as Jason's, I know this would be a better world. I know I've already tried to emulate his ways. Jason, roll tide and God bless.
Battalion! Attack!
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the posting of the colors.
Post the colors!
Thank you. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, to honor those who have served in the 1st Marine Division, the division song, Walking Matilda, will now be played. The song originates from Australia, where the division maintained a trading base in World War II and prepared for the island campaigns. Over the decades, 1st Marine Division Marines and sailors have marched off to war to this historic tune. We ask all those who have served in the division during World War II to those currently serving in the Blue Diamond today, stand and be recognized. We respectfully request all others to remain seated and silent to honor those absent who have gave the ultimate sacrifice and those present who have served with the 1st Marine Division.